Good evening. Welcome to the Sulk stream. I am your host, the Incredible Sulk, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Doing well, doing fine, spreading the news of the cult, being yourselves, but also being good. Because I know that's a conflict of interest. Thank you so much for coming tonight. What is tonight, a Wednesday? I think it's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday night. I'm just going to assume it's a Wednesday. I don't really give a shit. I hope you guys are doing good. Tonight we're going to be talking about fraud, a gynecologist who was not a gynecologist, who decided to tell people he was a gynecologist, and people believed him. Probably because he was black. I don't know why that's a thing, but yeah, that's a thing, yes. And who knows, we might dive into a couple other things, a couple other conspiracy theories, whatever happens to tickle our fancies along the way. You know how the show goes. It's real loose. It's real loose. I did a little game stream earlier today, so this is my third show today. So, here we go. We're going to do it. We're going to do the whole thing. We're going to do the whole damn thing. And just see how it goes. So, get comfy. Get cozy. Get a nice bottle of lube. Get a, that's it. Just get a big old bottle of lube and put it in a cup and then drink it with a straw. But make sure it's a paper straw, because you want to be environmentally friendly. It's going to taste gross, I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be gross, and it's going to be hard to swallow, like this entire story. So yeah, get your robes on, and get your clavicles and speculums. I think that's what those tools are called. The spreaders. They spread the thing out. Like that. Peekaboo! I'd be a fun gynecologist. I know I would. I would just be a really fun gynecologist. Doing the entire echo, hello kind of thing and stuff. And hiding a fish in my hospital room. And just being like, oh my God, miss, you have a serious issue. And I would only accept the good-looking patients, obviously, because I'm not a freak. It's just weird, It's just weird. Anyways, if you're working, continue to work. And I'm so sorry if I get you fired, because that's a real possibility. If you're driving, please drive safely. Buckle up. Do the things that make you safe when you get home, and then maybe donate to the Sulk stream. I would very much appreciate it. When you get here, please hit the like button on your way in, and do not hit it on the way out if you've already hit it on your way in. I've had a problem with that. A lot of people double like, and that does not leave a like. But you know the gist of it. Anyways, thank you so much for coming. Again, it is a Wednesday night. I am the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk stream. And, this little ditty is called The Most Evil Gynecologist. Enjoy.
Really hard. It could take up to 14 years and millions of dollars in debt before you can start taking people's kidneys out legally. But what if I told you you didn't have to go through all those years of schooling and debt to become a doctor?
Yeah, gay day,
because
whatever.
Just a few years ago, somebody pulled it off. The person I'm talking about fooled the world into thinking they were an actual doctor, not once, not twice, but 4 times. And all before the age of 20.
Went to dinner a little earlier. I had 4 beers. That was pretty good. I had 4 of them.
It all started on December of 2014.
So that's what I'm working with right now.
Dr. Sebastian Kent was visiting a patient.
If I'm a little lackluster, that might be it. That might be the case.
There was something off about him.
Gerald, Ardenshire, big.
He didn't belong
couch.
Arden. He also looked like he was about 12 years old. Kent thought to himself, man,
is it gay
I
day?
must really be getting old, because these new doctors get younger every year. But he just shrugged it off and went on with his busy day of staring at women's vaginas. He was
as you do. As is, that's your job. You can be a proctologist and stare at buttholes all day. If you want to do that, if you want to go down that route, it takes a strong individual, or just a fucking weirdo who likes staring at holes. You study holes, right? I mean, you started off as a gynecologist, but you're like, I'm gonna go around the other side. The pay's better. It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it.
gynecologist, by the way. I think I forgot to mention that. When he got back to his office at the end of the day, there was a note on his desk.
He makes a great evil gynecologist, Bill Cosby.
It was the young-looking doctor he saw earlier. He
Yeah.
said that he just recently graduated med school and was wondering if he could shadow Kent. Kent thought about it for a second before saying fuck no and hanging up. For the next few weeks, Dr. Kent keeps seeing this mother sucker wandering the halls, following doctors around.
Is that what people can do? Can people just wander in the hospitals? I didn't think people could just wander in the hospitals. Is that possible? I thought hospitals had like security where you had to be like checked in and stuff like that. I've been in hospitals before. I mean, you can't just wander around them. Like maternity wards especially. You cannot just wander into a maternity ward, and like they're very specific about who goes in and who goes out of a maternity ward, because I don't know, I guess they have a problem with people kidnapping babies. Apparently that has been an issue before, where people go in and just pick a baby out of the room, the baby room, and then just walk out of the hospital. That's weird. That's a crazy thing that happens. That has happened. And so they got real tight security around that.
Taking notes and just generally acting weird as hell. Kent asked around and it seemed like...
If you look like you belong, you can wander wherever. Yeah, but no, that's not true. If I put on some army fatigues and wander onto like Area 51, they're going to be like, who the fuck are you? You know, they're going to be like, you need to have some credentials or something like that. You can't just wander around places. There's too many people for you to be able to just wander around places. People are going to check your credentials and like, you know, everything's paperwork. And, you know, with AI and like facial recognition, it's kind of hard to do that anymore anyway, right? It's not just that people don't recognize you. It's the cameras that recognize you nowadays.
Nobody knew who this guy was.
Like, damn.
Then one day, Kent looked out his window and noticed police putting the young
Can't even be anonymous anymore. You can't even walk down the street and be anonymous because some bank camera is going to pick you up and identify you immediately. So, the fugitive, the age of the fugitive is kind of gone. I'm not saying there's not fugitives out there, but it's not as easy as it once was, right? You can't just pick up and leave town and then go somewhere else and start a new life. Nope. Because they're going to find you. No matter where you are, you're going to pop up in the system sometime.
Doctor in handcuffs. Earlier that day, a security guard got curious and looked the doctor up in the system. And it turns out he didn't even work at the hospital. Security questioned the so-called doctor, but he couldn't keep his answers straight, so they called the cops. He told police that this was a big misunderstanding, and he had been a doctor for years. And
Carrie says, oh, hi, handsome John and friends. Hey, Carrie. Thank you. Appreciate that. You didn't say hi to the cat, though. You gotta say hi to the cat. Say hi to the cat. She puts up with it. I don't know. Night after night, she jumps.
His
night
family
after
would
night,
vouch
man.
for him. But
Jumps
when
in
his
my
mother
lap.
showed up to the scene,
I don't get it.
she did no such thing. According to her,
I had this cat
his
for
son
like
was
10
suffering
years.
for some mental condition, but he refused to take his medication. Now, I'm not sure which medical disorder makes you pretend to be a doctor.
Is this guy very Italian, or is he like New Jersey? Like, what is this? This is like Long Island. What is this? What is this accent he's got going on?
But this kid had a severe
Carrie
form
says,
of
you're Studley. Thank you. I appreciate that.
that. It turns out he was just some
Hey, wife. Hey, wife. Woman, get in here. She's off cleaning something or breastfeeding a baby or doing the things that women should do. So I'll leave her to it.
17-year-old schmuck from the local high school wearing a fake
I'll leave
lab
her
coat
to
from
it.
Party City. And the fact that it took the hospital over
Yeah,
a
she
month to
knows.
figure this out is actually kind of terrifying. Since he was a minor and never actually treated any patients, the hospital...
That accent indicates brain damage. Yeah, but how? Environmental? Is it like pollution? Is it leaded gasoline? Like decades of exposure to leaded gasoline? I would believe that.
decided to go easy on him. They didn't press any charges and his name wasn't released publicly. At least not at the time.
Until Jamal Warner, Othel Jackson, Shantavius, also Jackson.
It was the first time Malachi Love Robbins...
Ah, so close. I was so close. Malachi Love Robinson?
Get in trouble for impersonating a doctor.
Malachi is a new black name. I have not heard Malachi before. That's a new one on me. It would be Malachiavius or something like that. Or Mayakaltal. Or something. I don't know. I don't know why they do that.
But it wouldn't be the last. You might recognize
Is the rise violet fail? This is banging sour berries. It's banging sour. I just so gay. I don't care.
Robinson from this famous meme where he looks extremely handsome and qualified. Despite his face being all over the internet in this incredible photo, most of you don't know the true story of Malachi Love Robinson or the absolute insanity of it. But you should. This story actually makes me scared to ever go to a hospital, just in case the doctor's
I get scared to go to hospitals because I don't know. I don't really trust hospitals. I don't trust hospitals. I don't trust doctors. I don't trust the doctors in the hospitals. And that's not that I don't directly trust the doctors, because I assume they're doing what they know what's best, right? But I don't trust the entire medical system. You see, the medical system is funded by the pharmaceutical industry, right? When they go to college, when they go to doctor school, right? That's heavily funded by the pharmaceutical industry. And so it's not so much about like real treatment. It's about money. What pill can they push? You know, if it was about real treatment, they just tell fat people to stop eating. Just stop eating so goddamn much. Stop eating all the goddamn time. Right? But no, it's always a pill. It's always some sort of Ozempic injection. If that doesn't work, it's surgery. Right? You keep eating. You keep eating as much as you possibly can. But you know, we have a collection of pills and shots that you can take, and then maybe that'll work. If not, you can go under the knife, and this whole process is going to be extremely expensive, but it's okay because it's covered by your insurance, which you're actually forced to have. And it's a big, complicated system. It's a big, complicated system. So no, I don't trust hospitals. I don't trust doctors. Not at all. And here's another thing. I think I know more than most doctors. Most. Not all. I think I'm smarter than most doctors. And a lot of people laugh about that. Go ahead and laugh. I'm pretty sure it's true. Maybe it's not, but I would kind of doubt that. I'm pretty sure I'm smarter than most doctors. I know. That scares me too.
Psychotic teenager masquerading as a physician.
You know?
But to really understand this story, we got to
it's
start
best
at the
not to trust.
beginning,
You're right, Carrie. You're absolutely right.
And then do a 1-year time skip. And then periodically flash back to provide more context. Before we do that, I got to tell you about today's sponsor, Fume. Breaking bad habits is hard. Trust me. I've been addicted to gambling, nitrous oxide, and intercourse with your mom. But thanks to Fume,
Zing.
I now have one less bad habit.
Who gets addicted to nitrous oxide? I know people who have. I know people who like do those crackers, those whippets, right? And they get the big balloon and they suck on the balloon and they get high for 5 seconds. And they do it again. They just do that all night until they're absolutely just mud. Their brains are just mush. And, yeah, they're addicted to that shit. I mean, nothing wrong with being addicted to things, right? I just think being addicted to nitrous is probably not that great for you. No addiction is good for you. Don't get me wrong. Gambling is pretty bad. Marijuana is pretty bad. Being addicted to alcohol, of course, is bad. Nicotine, I don't think that's that bad, right? Cigarettes are probably not that great just because the combustion of the tobacco going into your lungs is probably not that healthy. But, I mean, you could make the same argument for marijuana. But nicotine by itself, I don't think is all that bad. But being addicted to stuff is a problem. But you get to be addicted to porn. A lot of people are addicted to porn. A lot of people. And you know what happens to those people? They ended up as switch hitters. they end up turning red coat. You know, turning the hot dog into a taco. You guys know what I mean.
Fume is a flavored air device that uses the power of plants. Barcode and use code Dantavius to get 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfume.com and use code Dantavius to save an additional 10% off.
And don't even tell me if you guys want the What are these called? QR codes? Don't even tell me that, like, oh, it's a true. You know, they don't do that because they're addicted to porn. It's because they're born that way, right? They're born little girls, or they're born little. No. It is a sickness. It is a perversion, and those people have some sort of autogynophilic, illness, a symptom of some sort of demons. Let's call it demons. I'm just gonna say demons. I could jumble it up with a bunch of big words and shit that would kind of narrow it down. But I think a real good blanket statement would just say demons. Would just be demons. Those people are not specifically demons, but they are heavily possessed by demons. Demons are running the show. Okay? And I don't care to get more specific than that. I think it's really... That's enough, isn't it? Demons? Can we all agree this is a cult, after all? This is a sex cult, very specifically. So we can say demons. Demons.
Your order today.
Demons.
Malachi Alexander Love Robinson was born on May 12th, 1997 in Palm Beach, Florida.
Just a bunch of demons.
And chillingly, he was born in a hospital, foreshadowing what's to come. Ever since he could remember, Malachi always wanted...
One of my kids was born in a hospital. One of my kids was not. One of my kids was born over there. I'm pointing at it, but it's through a series of walls. It's not in this room. If it was in this room, maybe the next one we have, I'll have it like, maybe we'll just do a live stream of the birth. I'll sit her down around here, and then she'll just labor for like 30 hours, dude. It's not quick. It is not quick. It takes days, dude. And like, then I have to get several naps in, and like, she can't. She's doing all the labor. But I can really do whatever I want. I mean, there's really not much I do. Or really can do. I just kind of monitor the situation. But yeah, it was over there in the bathroom. That's where we had our second. So I'm pop out and everything. I didn't even catch him. She caught him. I cut the thing. Boop, boop, boop. But that's it. That's all I really did. That's it.
To be a doctor. Every second of his free time
It was wild. It was a wild experience.
was spent watching reruns of Grey's Anatomy.
Strawberry says it was quick for me both times. Well, you're a lucky bitch, Strawberry. Either that or you're like really wide set. Do you walk around look like you just got off of like a horse? Like you're a cowboy. You're strolling into a bar after a long haul ride. Do you walk around like that? You have very wide hips. Congratulations.
Plane operation and
6 hours. That's pretty good. 6 hours is not too shabby. Like, that's wild. God, how long did our first one take? Our first one was 20 something. But the second one was pretty long too. She's just a long laborer. She's a long laborer. I know. I'm like, get a move on. Like, geez, do you have to do everything so slow? Like, you should really see when we try to leave the house. I'm like, can we go? And she's like, no, I got to do this. And I got to do this. And I got to do this. I'm like, Strawberry's already waiting in the fucking car. She's like, let's go. Let's go. I had the kid. All right. My wife's just wandering around snacking on things.
Dissecting stray cats in his neighborhood.
Couch says 28 and 56 hours. 56 hours. She's talking. She says, okay, he's retarded. She's not talking about our kid. She's talking about me. She takes forever to get ready. I really don't. No, I'm not saying you do, right? I'm saying you take forever to go anywhere. You're not exactly getting ready the entire time. But if we try to, 56 hours. 50, Strawberry's over here taking 6, right? That's like a lunch break. I'm so sick of hearing it, she says.
The kid was obsessed. He even started wearing a white lab coat and stethoscope to school, where he was unsurprisingly bullied. But it didn't matter, because our boy Malachi was going to be a big shot doctor one day and prove everybody wrong. But then, at age 17, Malachi came to the realization that would ruin his life. Being a doctor
He ain't smart enough.
required doing work.
No, you need to have a certain amount of IQ. And I'm not saying you have to be a genius, because trust me, I've met doctors before. Some of them are smart. Yeah, some of them. But I've also met girl doctors that are not too smart, right? And not specifically just because they're girls, but let's be honest, that doesn't help. But yeah, it's not like they're overwhelmingly stupid by any means, but they're not exactly quick-witted, as you might say. They can follow directions and like fill out paperwork and do the things that requires them to pass certain courses and stuff like that. I always say this, just because you're good in the education system, which is specifically designed for women, that doesn't mean you're smart. In fact, a lot of the time, it kind of means the opposite. It really does. Because I've known some very intelligent people that are terrible at school, myself included, right? I met a lot of very intelligent males that do not do well and happen to have like behavioral, well, not issues, but I mean like they've got like suspended or like got caught smoking pot or something like that. Again, like myself. But just because you do good at school does not mean you're smart. And a lot of people who do good at school think that's what that means. It doesn't. There's a reason why every high school you have ever been to, every graduation from every high school, the valedictorian has always been a female. It's not because every high school there just happened to be the smartest person in there was a girl. That's statistically impossible, right? That's not how it works at all. No, it's just that 80% of the teachers are female. And the entire education system is designed for women specifically. And the education system is bullshit anyway. It doesn't help anybody do anything except for bury them in debt. These days. At least these days. You know, maybe back when, Harvard didn't allow women in, maybe it was pretty useful. Maybe it did a lot of things. It's not really the case anymore. Now it's just a way to trick 18-year-olds into taking on $200,000 worth of debt because they think they're going to be something big. And then they graduate and they're all like, oh, wait, now I have to get hired? There's people going to engineering school right now. Today, right now. Engineering. You know that engineering is not going to be a profession in maybe 5 years' time? By the time you graduate, engineering will be a thing of the past because computers are able to do it all, right? Software engineering, fucking writing code, people are still learning these things, taking on huge amounts of debt to learn these things. Now, there's some things that'll still stick around. Maybe doctors, maybe lawyers, but only because they're going to make laws making it illegal to have an AI represent you. Now, you can do this thing called pro se, which is representing yourself, right? And then have an AI advise you. And so that kind of defeats, So lawyers are kind of going to be at least in short supply. The jobs for lawyers are going to be in short supply. There's just not a lot of jobs like that. And engineering, they already have good engineering program, like good AI engineers, right? And in 5 years, by the time you graduate, by the time you rack up all that debt, you're not going to be able to get a job. They're already starting to cut people off as it is. So I'm just saying, maybe it's not the greatest idea to take on so much debt so early on in your life. Not only that, you can't even Chapter 11 your way out of that debt. No, they're going to garnish your fucking wages for the rest of your life because, hey, compounding interest is still a thing. Something they don't teach you in school. Something they don't teach you. No, they don't teach you none of that. Everyone knows the fucking powerhouse of the cell. What is that? Mitochondria? No shit. What is compounding interest, and why is it a death knell for society? Zzz. They don't teach you that shit.
And lots of it. I don't know how it is in other countries, but in the US, it takes a minimum of 10 years.
Hog Dog says beer 5 finally hit me. Fucking winning. Thrive Dog. Thrive, says Couch. I'd be down with you because I already had 4. I've had four beers so far. But then we came back and kind of chilled out. We don't have any alcohol. Otherwise, I'd be right there with you, Hog. I'd be right there with you.
Actually practicing medicine. But Malachi didn't have that kind of time. The man was already 17. He was basically 1 foot in the grave. And he wasn't about to spend the next decade of his life being indoctrinated by the medical industrial complex. So Malachi decided that not only was he going to be a doctor, but he was also not going to go to med school, I guess. After all, what can you learn in med school that you can't learn in an afternoon browsing Facebook? Fast forward to 2016. It's now been over a year since Malachi's first run-in with the law.
Hog Dog's drinking a shower beer. He drank a shower beer. I haven't done that shit for years, right? I'm a father. I'm a husband and father, and I feel like if I drink a shower beer now, it's like, oof, that's a problem. That's an issue. If I'm drinking shower beers, like, I'm not saying as a grown adult, because last time I had a shower beer, I was a grown adult. I was a full-grown adult. But, like, now I'm just like, I can't drink beer in the shower, although it sounds lovely.
For most people, almost getting arrested would deter them from doing the same crime again. But not our boy Malachi. He was very much a believer in the philosophy.
Couch says we don't keep alcohol in the house. Even if we tried, we just never think about picking up booze. Well, we did. We had alcohol in the house, but then your brother came and house sat for us while we were in Italy, and he drank all our alcohol. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, and not saying I didn't know that was going to happen. That's it. I have nothing else to say about that.
Go hard or go home. So his second attempt at being a fake doctor was a huge leap from the first. He opened up a whole ass medical...
Is Dr. T, man. He should be wearing like a big old gold necklace and stuff like that. He's like, you got AIDS, mofo. Or something like that. Right? I pity the fool with kidney failure.
Practice. And I know what you're thinking.
I would have Dr. T as my doctor. I'd be like, give it to me straight, doc. He's like, you're gonna die, motherfucker.
How the hell did
That's Samuel Jackson. I would also have Samuel Jackson as my doctor, though. But yeah, that would be a completely different. You got worms in your motherfucking ass. I'd be like, whoa, dude. Whoa. You didn't... That's a strongly worded email.
Get the money to do that? Well, let's back up a little bit. Shortly after graduating high school, Malachi picked up a job as a massage therapist. A job which, surprisingly...
He didn't leave a big bag of weed. He left a bag of weed. Not a big bag of weed. Come on, let's not... it's not a high roller. He left a small bag of weed. He left maybe an eighth. All right, it's not a big maybe.
You know, he was not qualified to do, and it was a pretty decent.
Let's not go wild. You know, if he left a zip, I'd be like, okay, that's a good sizable bag of weed. All right, that's nice, that's cool, but it's not anything like that. It was maybe an eighth.
That was just too ambitious. It was around this time he got the idea to open up his own medical clinic. But
are you drunk right now, Hog? Hog Dog, are you? I'm Cali sober and Milwaukee sober. So you're high right now. You're drunk. You're drunk and high. That's not sober for anybody.
A lot more cash to do that.
That's not sober for anything, right? California sober is when you're just smoking weed. I just smoking weed, right? And Milwaukee sober is not even a thing. Milwaukee sober is when you're just... I think it's like when you're drunk but still okay to drive. So, is that what it is? Is that what Milwaukee sober is? It's like under 3 beers an hour? Is that...
So he went and got another job as a counselor at New Directions rehab facility. Robinson was somehow able to convince the owner of the rehab that he was actually a 28-year-old Frenchman with multiple degrees, including a PhD in psychology from ASU. Now, no bullshit,
ASU is a joke of a school. It's a fucking party school. You can have a C average and go to ASU. I'm not knocking anybody for going to ASU because, again, college in general is a complete waste of time and money. In general. But if you go to ASU, at least you're going to get herpes. So you have something that's not completely worthless when you leave, right? You're not just going to, oh, look at my law degree. Look at my law. Oh, it's worthless because I can't get a fucking job. Not even as a goddamn temp. But yeah, you leave with herpes. But you still spent like $100,000 getting herpes. You know, I could give you herpes for a lot less.
graduated with a...
I don't have herpes, but we can figure that out. I can hook you up, and there's Daytona is like right over there. I know there's hookers in Daytona, and I would be hard pressed to find out that they don't have herpes and aren't. Come on, they do have herpes. All right, if you want herpes, $1,000 and I got you. You come in, you hop in my car. We'll get you one of those motels because it's not happening in my fucking car. No, I cannot. No, that the smell would make me angry. And it would be just disgusting too. It's just disgusting. So you'll go to one of those pay by the minute hotels because what do you need? 2, 3 tops? Tops. Right, honey? I'm not, I'm about efficiency. That's what, it's not, we're not here for pleasure. It's for efficiency. I'm trying to get a job done.
Bachelor's from ASU, and I gotta say, it's not worth the paper it's printed on.
Cash Civic says no one wants herpes, but they get the herpes they deserve. That's right. That's right.
Despite this, though, New Directions was impressed with his resume, so they brought him on with a very respectable salary, befitting of a learned man such as himself. And things were going pretty good for Malachi for a while. The staff liked him, his patients respected him, and he even got promoted to clinical director after just a few months. But that would all change when the Florida Department of Health got an anonymous tip that Malachi wasn't who he claimed to be. This letter requires the highest priority. The individual listed below is claiming to have 3 degrees.
So I guess ad campaigns are back, and I could do an ad campaign. I could take up 2. I wonder how much time that is. I don't know. I would guess that's roughly a minute of my time to make 53 cents, 52 cents. So no, I'm not doing that.
All acquired by the age of
So
18.
I'm just no.
Malachi
That's
Love
17
is impersonating
cents.
a
No,
medical
I'm not fucking
doctor
doing that.
and a psychologist, all while having absolutely no license. Please intervene.
You got to pay the flat hour rate. You got to play a flat out. So what are you going to do with 58 minutes, right? Play Boggle? You take the hooker in, you're done 2 minutes later, and then you bring out a Jenga tower. And you're like, okay, I hope you have steady hands. Oh. What are you going to do with all that time? Talk? You're going to talk to the hooker? I bet she's, not every hooker is Pretty Woman. She's not a prostitute with a heart of gold. Most of them deserve their position in life. A vast majority. Right. Their personality is just as ugly as the rest of them.
Skilled con man. He is truly...
Trauma dump your daddy issues on her? That could be funny, right? Just start, crying on her lap. That would be intense. That worth every minute.
A danger to the public. Sincerely,
Dan Snot says, I almost got a black hooker in Vegas. Almost. So close. So couldn't bag it, though. Couldn't bag it. She asked for money. That was the problem.
concerned citizen, you know this was serious because whoever wrote it put
Chuck
3
says,
exclamation points at the end. It's not known exactly who wrote this note, but a lot of people speculate that it was Malachi's very own mother. This guy's own mother was his op. After a very short investigation, the health department was able to verify that everything in the letter was true. But similar to the situation a year before, he wasn't technically breaking
$300 for a hooker in Vegas. I don't know hooker prices. In Vegas, it seems like they'd be pricey. In Vegas, it seems like a hooker would be pricey, right? Because, it's like, we did that hooker show, right? And some of those hookers make millions of dollars. And they're not pretty. No. But they'll take all comers, right? Which is blowing my mind because those Bonnie Blue and stuff like that, she lets 1,000 dudes run through her in a day. That's $300,000 you could have just made. $300,000 you could have just made being a hooker. Why not do that? If you're going to defile yourself like that, might as well, turn a profit. I don't know. But she got famous, I guess.
Any laws, since he never prescribed any medication or treated any patients. But they did hit him with a cease and desist, which basically told him to stop fucking pretending to be a medical professional. Malachi read the cease and desist over carefully and tossed it right in the trash. And then
awesome, because that's exactly what I would do. Right? What makes you think you get to tell me what a medical professional is? Why? Because you're an association of medical professionals that certify licenses and is, was certified by the government and stuff like that, and everything is legal and their I's are dotted and all the paperwork is. That means nothing to me. I will remove your kidney regardless. Regardless of your permission or not, I will remove whatever body part from whoever I see fit. And how are you going to stop me? Are you going to find out wherever I perform my surgeries in back alleys and parking garages and in crack houses and, ice-filled bathtubs and the like? No, you could never find out. No. What I do in the privacy of my own dungeon is my business.
And immediately started pretending to be a medical professional again. That's when he dialed the
Renee says I dissociate for free all the time like a dumb asshole. And that's your right to do so.
Insanity up to 10 and finally opened up his own medical clinic.
Stock says, not going to lie, I kind of want to be a hooker. Stock, you're a guy. Aren't you a guy? Guys can't be hookers. Because women don't want sex. Women do not want sex. Women have no use for sex. They don't like sex. Not when I do it to them. It's just, women like money. That is their sex. Money is sex to women. This is true. And attention. Right? They really like attention. They don't like sex. They don't. If they did like sex, the friend zone wouldn't be a thing. No. She'd let anybody hit it. She wouldn't make a guy, pay for her stuff and be like, oh, you're like a brother to me or stuff. No. She'd let him hit it. She'd let the homies hit it. No. But she don't, because women don't like sex. Back me up here, women.
With the money he saved up.
Right?
In January of 2016...
Dan Snot says, guys can be hookers. You ever see a troonie? Because I can't say that word. Yep. No, you got me there. Yeah, if you want to have sex with guys, then yeah, you can be a hooker. Yes. I forgot about that. I forgot about the depravity that just, ruled our world these days. But yeah, you're right. And if I went that route, which I'm not going to do that ever, because I don't play like that. I could make a lot of money. I think I could. But that's not even saying much, because gay guys will have sex with anything. Gay guys have no standards. Like, no standards. It's like, they'll do anything. That's probably why they get AIDS so much, and monkeypox and stuff like that. They'll do anything.
Exactly 1 year after his first stunt, the now 18-year-old Malachi Love Robinson rented a small medical office in Palm Beach, Florida. He named his
Where's he getting all this money?
the New Birth, New Life Medical Center and Urgent Care, complete with a website and Facebook page. If you didn't know any better, you would think this place was just a regular old doctor's office. They even accepted insurance. To add even more credibility, Malachi made an account on healthgrades.org, a website where you can rate doctors. This is where the famous meme of him comes from.
Bruh.
His biography on the website read, "Hello, I am Dr. Malachi A. Love Robinson. I am a well-rounded professional that treats..."
Misspelled professional. He misspelled professional. It's riddled with spelling errors. Physiotherapy. Actually, I think that one is spelled correctly. Orificial. Minor and orificial. Mechanical. Okay, so orifice. Is this orifice? Like orifice surgery? Or is he just trying to spell official? Naturopathic? There's just a lot of misspelled words, I think. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of misspelled words, which is actually super funny. That's super duper funny. Couch surfing on a real as fuck note, their bodies are essentially being raped multiple times. Oh my god. A night, like, what the fuck body knows you don't want to fuck that Porky sad dude? The trauma they put themselves through is so stupid. No, you can't use the R word. You can't use the R word. No. Because once money exchanged hands, it's not R anymore. It's just not, right? I gave you something, you gave me something, we struck a deal, right? And even if you're like, oh, I got R'd for $300. And people, if you went to the cops and said, this guy R'd me for only $300, and they'd be like, what? They'd be like, what the fuck did you just tell me? You got R'd for $300. So it's like you didn't though. You're a prostitute, and that's a crime. Right? And then she'd get all like, but I can't commit crimes. I'm a woman. And they'd be like, well, that's a good point. That's a fair point, because women, they're not accountable for anything these days.
And cares for patients using a system.
She would be arrested. I'm sure she would be arrested, or at least told to leave. Right? Get out of here, you filthy hooker. Go get R'd for more money. All right? Or less. I don't care. Get out.
Of practice that bases treatment of psychological functions and abnormal conditions on natural laws. Governing the human body, I utilize physiological, psychological, and mechanical.
No. Couch says I don't feel sorry for them. That's not what I'm saying. I didn't think you were saying that. I'm just saying you used the R word for a prostitute. And it is known, it's in the Bible that you cannot R prostitutes. I think. I don't know. It seems like something that would be in there. It seems like something. I don't know. I haven't read it.
Methods such as air, water, light, heat, earth.
But I'm going to go around and start saying that. It says in the Bible that you cannot R prostitutes. It's right there under Leviticus, right? Right? Because I don't know.
Phototherapy, food and herb therapy, psychotherapy, electrotherapy, physiotherapy.
Couch says, but just like BDSM is retarded because it's basically abuse, but you want it, or say you do, but the brain doesn't know better. Who cares? I mean, so okay, so like the brain, so if like what do you mean? What do you mean the brain doesn't know better? like your physiological responses are still the same. See, I feel like there's a large divide in women between their thoughts and emotions and them. You know, I think they don't think that they are their brain. I think their brain is not them. Like, and this is exactly why they're not responsible for their actions, right? Because their brain, their body is not actually them. This has to be the case. Because how else would you not be responsible for any of your mistakes or your actions in your lifetime? Throughout history. It has to be the case because women have this separation between them as, let's call it an id, right? Which is a psychological term, right? Which is your most base personality, your wants and your emotions and stuff like that. And then your logical thinking part brain, which moves and then like beats your heart and stuff like that. It seems these are two different people. They're two different people, right? So you cannot possibly be responsible for your actions because you're over here being perfect, being not responsible. Ever. ever. This is why a woman can never be president, right? Because it requires at least a small level of accountability. And I know most politicians are terrible at accepting any sort of accountability. Terrible at it. But there is still some small modicum of it. Just a little. Just a little. Even when Bill Clinton got his dick sucked in the Oval Office, afterwards he's like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. But here's the thing about Bill Clinton. He's a lawyer, right? He went to law school and shit. And in a very narrow legal sense, that was technically true. He did not have a sexual relationship with that woman. He got his dick sucked. In a legal term, in a legal sense, that is not a sexual relationship. That's getting your dick sucked, right? That is a sexual act, don't get me wrong, but a relationship requires some sort of back and forth, right? Some quid pro quo. You know, I get something, he just got his dick fucking sucked. Ain't nothing wrong with that, especially if you're the head honcho, right? You live in a big round office. But yeah, that was a lie.
Minor or official. It goes on like that for a while. Okay, I only read like half of it.
Yeah, it's a lie.
And I don't know what 90% of these words mean. I guess he thought listing off half the periodic table along with a handful of medical.
Big B Trucker says it's considered sodomy in some states. Yes, well, it is technically. Yeah, it is considered sodomy. Yeah, because anything not vaginal is considered sodomy. If you want to be like a. Yeah. Yes. So.
Buzzwords made him seem more legit, but for good measure, he also left himself a bunch of fake 5-star reviews. And
Dansnot says if she did it multiple times, it was a relationship. And she did. She did that like a bunch of times. She probably did at least half a dozen times, right? But no one knew that at the time. There was only one cum stain dress. Only one. There was only one cigar in the pussy. So, you know. But yeah, he's a fucking liar. He told a truth according to him. And in a very narrow legal sense, it was technically true. Right? But he told it assuming that people would take it in a direction that, see, he's lying, right? Because he knew that people would think a thing that was not true. When you speak things out of your mouth, regardless if they are true or not, if your intention is to convey a message that is untrue into other people's brains. That is lying. That is lying. This is why lawyers are garbage people, right? Because they will speak technical truths with the intention of confusing people into thinking falsities. That's lying, right? That is misguiding people, right? So, right? Yeah.
He also listed his age as 25 instead of 18. But the cherry on top of this whole thing is his misspelling of the word professional, which is probably the least professional
Hog Dog says all Monica had to do was not suck dick. Couldn't help herself. Could not help herself.
thing you can do. Despite the dubiousness behind the scenes, Dr. Love's clinic...
Did she look good back then? Was she hot? No. Miss Lewinsky, was she hot? No, she's just a chubster. She was always a chub. She's a chubster now.
No. She wasn't fat.
She wasn't as fat, but she was still not that good looking.
Look her up.
Not even for the 90s. Okay, I'll look her up. Boop-ee-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay. Monica Lewinsky. Is she Jewish? Is she Jewish?
Of course she's Jewish.
Is she Jewish? I mean, look, you're Bill Clinton. You're a sex-crazed maniac, right? You've been to Epstein's Island a million billion times, right? And you're sitting in the Oval Office. You don't have anything to do because you're just the fucking president. And you're all like, hey, there's a chubby intern. Hey, chubby intern, get in here and get on those chubby, fat little knees. And then she's like, yeah, okay, well, you're the president. And then she gets to it. He just couldn't help himself. The man is sick. Honestly, let's get on it. Let's just be real. The man is sick. She is not what I would call a looker. There's a couple of good picks, but in general, she is pretty low on the totem pole. You know? She's pretty low on Bill's pole, too. And she's way too old for him. Right? She was a full-grown adult when she did that, right? Which is like way too old for Bill Clinton. Apparently Trump too, right? This whole Epstein thing's really blowing up in his face. Yeesh. But who's honestly surprised about that? Is anybody really that surprised about that? I'm not. I'm not. Look, I mean, like Trump. He said a lot of things that I agreed with. And, you know, when he won, I was like, okay, good. At least we don't have that old fucking alcoholic from India or whatever. I can't even remember who she was. So that was good. But let's be real. I mean, they're both parties, both candidates, always, every election are still controlled by the same people. You know what I mean? You know what I fucking mean? So let's not act all shocked when fucking Trump, you know, ends up on that fucking plane, ends up on that, you know, with his dick in a fucking 12-year-old. Let's not be too shocked about that, okay? Because it is almost certainly true. It is. You know, let's be real.
seemed like a perfectly legitimate business. And all of Malachi's effort was paying off because on day one, there was a line out the door of middle-aged white women. Karens, Lindas, and Rachels galore. But once they figured out Dr. Love was not a male stripper, most of them left. But he still had a decent amount of clients even after that. But just when things were looking so good...
Hog Dog says all the boomers were into kids. It's kind of gross. I can't say that last one. Look, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know.
Malachi's past started catching up with them. Not long after the grand opening of Dr. Love's clinic, a news team from WPBF came walking through the door.
Big B says, I assume they're all on that list. Yeah. Yes, no, he's absolutely right. They are. Every last one of them. You know why? Because you can't get elected into politics unless you're on that list. That's the thing. It's not like it's not like a politician gets elected and then they lure him to the island and then, force him to have sex with like little kids. No. No. The only way you're on the ballot for the larger offices, I'm not talking about like small community, mayor or something like, local government. But like for the larger offices, you're not going to be on the ballot unless they already have control of you. And this has been the case probably, at least a half a century. At the very least a half a century. Probably 80 years at least. Probably. Roughly. Yeah. Every last one of them. That's just what it is. We're ruled by pedophiles. We are ruled by a class of pedophiles that, are ruled themselves by a class of even bigger pedophiles. And so there's just this big pedophile Ponzi scheme that goes all the way up. And I imagine at the top there's a large pedophile, and I assume his name would be Satan or something like that. Moloch, whatever, Beelzebub, whatever you want to call him, it has to be Satan. It's just gotta be. It just has to be. I don't have any proof of that. No, I'm just talking. But that's what I do here on the Sulk stream. I just talk.
Robinson was surprised to see us in his waiting room, but agreed to an interview. The first thing Love Robinson did was to slowly remove his stethoscope and lab coat, an ensemble that numerous witnesses tell me he wears everywhere.
In this interview, Malachi emphasizes that he is not a medical doctor and
Aaron Sheriff says Trump was doing the pageant thing for a long time. Honestly, it would be weird if he was clean. It would be. I would like. Yeah. It would be weird if he was just spotless. That would be weird. Not completely. It would be weird. It wouldn't be like, oh my God, there's no. But like now that all this is surfacing, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes all the sense in the world. It does. It makes a lot of sense.
has never claimed to be.
You've got a lot of sites online, all claiming that you're a doctor.
Big B says 7 kitty pedos rule everything. Yeah, you're probably, or 7 families, or something like that. This is like, the world is not a meritocracy. They want you to think it is. It's not a democracy. They want you to think it is. It is nothing like that. The world runs on nepotism, and that's it. That's basically it. Yeah, there are some talented people that rise through the ranks and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, nepotism rules it all. Is that wrong? Is that a bad thing? It's a bad thing, sure, right, but come on, you do the same thing. If you ruled the world, who are you going to pass it down to? Your fucking kid or like the people? Come on. You're going to do the same thing. I would do the same thing. I am going to do the same thing.
Well, no, they don't claim medical doctor, as I am aware of. If you could stop recording, please.
The reason he was able to call himself Dr. Love is because he did indeed have a PhD, which at 18 is pretty impressive. When I was 18, I was addicted to nitrous oxide and selling vape pens to middle schoolers. But it turns out Dr. Love got his PhD from an online institution known as
Here's the thing. You can call yourself doctor all you want. I'm pretty sure there's no law against that. I don't think there's a law. I could go and like order a magazine and tell them my name is Dr. John Sulkington, and they'll send it to me and they'll write John Sulkington. I'll get a credit card with that name on it. And then I'll be fine. It's not a crime. I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Universal Life Church Seminary, where you can get yourself a master's degree in Druidism, or better yet...
What? Master of Druidism course examines the rich history, culture, society, and ancient Celtic Druids. Learn more about their alphabet, ethic, deities, rituals, and more lessons. I can get a Doctor of Druidism. Dr. Druid. I could do that.
a doctorate in spirituality, or hey, what about a doctorate of metaphysics and miracles for just $89.99?
Okay.
It states on the website that with this certificate, you can legally call yourself a doctor. Kind of reminds myself of a certain sponsor I did on this channel a little while ago. Now, I actually signed up for this course and completed it, and I now have my diploma right here, which I'll put right next to my bachelor's from DeVry and my established titles lordship plaque.
Yeah, so you can call yourself a lot of things. That's like the title thing, right? You own land in Scotland, and you buy like a square foot of land, and then you could call yourself Lord. I can do that anyway. I could do that now. There's nothing stopping me. There's nothing at all stopping me from doing that. So people who buy that shit is funny, right? It's a gag. It's not. But people who take it, there are some people who take it seriously. Like, I am Lord, blah, blah, blah. I own a square foot in a bog in Scotland. Wow.
From now on, I want you all to refer to me as Dr. Dantavius. Thank you very much. So yeah, Dr. Malachi Love Robinson was in
Brandon.
fact a doctor with a degree from...
And by the way, I'm Dr. Sulk now. Lord Dr. Sulkington, Esquire, lawyer, astronaut.
the very respected, incredible institution of Universal Life Church. But he wanted to make it very clear that he was not a medical doctor, despite the fact that the sign right outside his building had MD right next to his name, which, if you're not familiar, stands for Medical Doctor.
No. That stood for Mad Dick. Mad Dick. Mad Dick up in here. Yeah, I'm Dr. John Sulkington. Mad Dick. That's what it would be Mad Dick. If you want to get some Mad Dick, come into my office, right? It's dark.
Love Robinson says he is not an MD, as his taped over clinic sign says. That's a mistake, he says, that he didn't authorize, but an ND, or naturopathic doctor.
The problem is Florida does not license NDs unless ND stands for no dick. Basically, any schmuck can put ND at the end of their name, and that's exactly what Dr. Love Robinson, ND, did. During the interview, he also took the opportunity
John Sulkington, ND.
to explain his
Dr. John Sulkington, ND.
side of the story with the situation that happened a year before at St. Mary's. According to him, the whole thing was just a big misunderstanding. He had every right to be there, and he was just trying to shadow some doctors so we could learn.
Big P says this physical got weird real quick, Mad Dick. Yeah, well, it's not a physical. It's a spiritual.
A thing or two.
I requested
Now sing.
to shadow some physicians.
Physician.
Next thing I know, cops are there. That's all I know. All I know. Have no idea. This story was broadcast everywhere. Like I'm some insane maniac that's just out here doing crazy things.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, guys, this interview did not make Dr. Love look good, but he wasn't gonna let that bring him down. Despite all the setbacks,
Poor
he
Dr.
was
Love. Poor Dr. Love. I feel
never
bad for him.
giving up on his dream of being a fake doctor. He even said that in the near future, he was gonna open up a second clinic, New Birth, New Life Medical Center 2, Electric.
Please don't tell me it was 2. I know the electric boogaloo part is not true, but like, please don't tell me it was 2.
Boogaloo. But unfortunately for our favorite medical professional, things don't always turn out the way you want them. Just 3 short weeks after his clinic opened, a patient walked in and took a seat in the waiting room. The man was suffering from an extremely bad case of Gilmore's groin, so Dr. Love took the man into the examination room right away. There, he did a full body exam, and I mean a full body exam, and proceeded to offer the patient medical advice, which was,
So it was a woman, and she got naked. Ooh, now you're asking for a lawsuit.
nothing out of the ordinary for him. Then, before he knew it, the doors were kicked down by the FBI and a shootout ensued. 3 of the members of his staff were shot before the feds finally took him down and arrested him for his crimes. Nah, I'm kidding. It wasn't that crazy. That would be sick, though. But the patient was actually an undercover police officer. And once Malachi offered him medical advice, his partner entered the room, and both of them escorted him into the back of an unmarked police car. Just a year...
How you doing, Hog Dog? You doing good, man? You doing good, bro? Are you just hammered?
After being walked out of St. Mary's, Malachi was now being walked out of his very own clinic in handcuffs, which...
They just can't help themselves. I mean, they just, you know...
I guess is progress. Our boy MLR was now facing several different charges, including grand theft, fraud, and practicing medicine without a license. Luckily, he had the money to pay
Those
his
are
bail.
fake cops. Those were not fake cops. No, those were real cops. They really arrested him. He's going to real prison. He's going to real jail. Maybe not prison, but jail. Doctor jail.
Lawyers advised him to lay low and stay out of the spotlight until the
Big
trial.
pieces get fully naked for your checkup to a certain time. Right, a doctor just walks in, you're just like, you make eye contact, and you're just fucking hanging dong, right? And he's like, oh, you didn't need to get naked for this. And you're like, I know. And then he'd immediately call security. He would immediately call security and then probably drop you as a patient.
Trial was over. Except he didn't lay low at all. In fact, he did the exact opposite of laying low and held a fucking press conference where he said he felt saddened and disrespected by these accusations. And in fact, he asked the public to pray for him as he battles through the claims being made against him.
We thank you for the concerns in the community about the...
And I guarantee you, there was a bunch of black people being like, they're just trying to keep the black man down. They're just trying to keep the black man down because you know, he's a black doctor, not knowing at all how the medical system at all works. And trust me, I am not a fan of the medical system. But he's not a doctor. He's not a doctor, right? But there's a bunch of people claiming racism and stuff like that. And yeah, it's true. It was pretty racist not to let this black guy do whatever he wanted all the time to innocent people. That seems racist to me, right? Because of 400 years of slavery or whatnot, you should be allowed to just do crimes and like stab and R people and, you know, take whatever you want. Otherwise, it's just plain old racist.
The accusations that have happened. I just want to say that I am deeply saddened and a
Why does he talk like that? Is he? It sounds a little British. Is there a little British coming through? Is he from like Philadelphia? I don't know where he's from.
little disrespected by some of the things that have come forth.
Now, this press conference pissed a lot of people off. To us, it's funny that this kid just threw on a lab coat one day and decided to open up a fake medical practice. But you have to remember, this guy was out here convincing old ladies that he was a doctor and giving them faulty medical advice. And charging them buckets of money for the convenience. Take 86-year-old Annette Morris, for example. She was suffering
Get naked. That's what he said.
from a chronic stomach issue, and after going to multiple specialists, couldn't find relief. So she reached out to Dr. Love after stumbling upon his extremely professional website. He came to her house a total of 5 times and gave her some vitamins for which he charged her a total of $3,494. One night, Mrs. Morris was in extreme pain, so she called Dr. Love, who rushed right over. But he couldn't really help her because, well, he's not a real fucking doctor, so he called her an ambulance. While she was on her way to the hospital, Robinson stayed behind at her house to watch over the place. And then he noticed old Mrs. Morris left her purse behind. At that point, our boy Malachi did what any real doctor would do in his position and
Rifled through it.
stole her checkbook.
Oh, okay.
Then a few weeks after being discharged from the hospital,
Okay. I mean, come on. That's just... Why not pretend to be like a good person? Can you pretend to be a good person and not like steal checkbooks from old ladies? I mean, I know you're pretending to be a doctor, so you know how to pretend. You got through a lot of shit pretending to be a doctor, like people hired you and stuff like that. So why don't you pretend to like not be a pile of shit? You can't do that.
Annette noticed all these strange charges that she couldn't remember.
You
I
can't
guess
do
Malachi
that.
was just hoping she thought she had dementia or some shit and wouldn't ask any questions.
The the fuck?
All in all, he made out with about $20,000 of Annette's money. And I wish I could say that this was an isolated incident, but it gets even worse. On another occasion, Dr. Love went to a Jaguar dealership with his godmother, who graciously offered to buy him a brand new car for his 18th birthday. The car came out to about $35,000. Except the woman wasn't his godmother at all. She was some old lady with dementia who he manipulated into buying him a car.
Okay, cool.
Damn, man, this story just went from hilarious to dork. Real quick.
Dork. Is that okay? Can you manipulate people with dementia? I mean, like, ethically? Because who's the real victim there? All right, it's me for not getting a car. Right? You don't even know you're getting ripped off. So, and you won't even know afterwards. So, who's the victim here? You're just... That's a victimless crime. There's nobody home, you know? So, whatever. Right? I'm not pretending to be a good person. Right? I just want a car. Is that it?
And I think the worst thing about this whole thing...
I know, that is a cheap Jaguar. That is a very, very... A $35,000 Jaguar is... It's not a good Jaguar.
Is that he...
You know how much the repairs on that thing are going to cost? And since it's only $35K, the repairs are going to be almost instantaneous. It's going to cost a lot more than the car. I'm just telling you right now.
Tried to buy a fucking Jaguar. What is this, 1963? Who bought?
Got to have a power attorney, but then yes. Okay. Where do I get this power attorney? Is it... Do I go to the gym? Are there attorneys at the gym and they're like yoked? And I'll be like, yo, I need your help to help me screw over the elderly and the infirmed. And he's all like, I got you. I'm like, fucking sweet, bro.
Buys a Jaguar unless they're 80 years old or British. Oh, and I almost forgot. Remember the New Life Rehab Center, the place where he worked as a clinical director for a few months? Well, it turns out he also stole thousands of dollars.
Power
from
bottom
boss.
attorney, exactly.
Oh, and let me remind you that he was doing all...
Power attorney, bottom at law. That's going to be my title. Because I could just say that. I'm a power attorney, bottom at law.
All of this while he was on trial in Florida for practicing medicine without a license. It seemed like he didn't have any remorse because he kept posting on Facebook about how he was the victim. He never stole money and people were just trying to frame him. As time went on, his Facebook posts kept getting more and more unhinged. In one of the posts, he claimed to have stage 2 kidney cancer. For 3 months now, I have been battling stage 2 kidney cancer. It has been a rough journey and hopefully a light is soon to show. Along with that, identity theft has begun to surface, and I'm now fighting that. This illness has given me a huge wake-up call. Always remember that life can be very short, so make the best of it. And this little attempt at garnering sympathy did not work because he was sentenced to 1 year in a Virginia prison for the whole Jaguar fiasco.
Yeah, I bet you can still practice while you're in prison, though. Rectal exams. They're going to be exam your rectum. So you're going to be getting hard. Gang hard. You know, a lot. Probably a lot.
And once he got out, he was extradited back to Florida, where he had to go on trial for all the other stuff. Malachi pled guilty to multiple fraud charges, grand theft, and practicing medicine without a license. He was sentenced to 3.5 years in maximum security prison, which honestly seems a bit harsh. I mean, I know the guy's a psycho, but it's not like he killed anybody. After his sentencing, Malachi sat down for an interview with Inside Edition, and they asked him if he had any regrets.
Do you have regrets about what you've done, or do you regret that you've been caught?
Okay, send in the black reporter. We got to send in the black reporter because this guy's black, and so we don't want to be racist, so let's send in the black reporter. We have the black reporter? Yeah, thanks. Okay, great. They got a crew of black reporters. They're not as good as the white ones, but, you know, they don't really have to be all that good. You just give them a list of questions and tell them to ask them. That's all they really need to do.
I 100% regret what I've done. And the reason being is that because, number one, I've messed my life up.
This guy literally could not give any less of a shit about the poor old ladies he scammed.
He's insane. He's a psychopath. He's probably retarded, but like a type of retarded that's like capable of being of tricking people into thinking he's not. So maybe he's not retarded. Maybe he's not retarded, but maybe he's just a psychopath.
He just regretted getting caught, kind of like when I caught my ex-wife in bed. You know what? I don't even want to get into it. All I'm saying is that after seeing that clip, I'm kind of glad he got sent to maximum security. Maybe that's exactly what he needed to finally turn his life around. Spoiler alert, it was not. Malachi served just 20 months of his 3-year sentence on account of his good behavior, but his streak of good behavior wouldn't last long. After his release from prison, Malachi was ready for a fresh start. He really was. He decided he was gonna leave his criminal past behind him and become a law-abiding citizen. He was going to therapy. He was trying to improve himself. He even changed his name to Alex Robinson as a kind of symbolic gesture to show that he was a new person. He eventually landed a job with the United States of Freight, a trucking company based out of Florida.
Okay,
He's
he's got a job, right? But now he's going to be a lawyer?
His boss Dan took a big risk on hiring this convicted felon, but it was all working out. For a little bit. Alex Robinson might have been trying to turn over a new leaf.
Rocky says most psychopaths have a huge blind spots I've always maintained. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably absolutely true.
But no matter how hard he tried,
You know?
Dr. Love was still inside him, trying to claw his way out. And it wouldn't be long until he made a comeback. He lasted
And
about...
psychopaths don't like have empathy or anything. They don't feel the emotions. They can't put themselves in the shoes of their victims and stuff like that. So it's just a game, and what matters most is like what they want, and basically no one else really matters or exists in their mind, right? And actually there's like a lot of psychopaths. CEOs, like people on a high corporate ladder, they tend to be psychopaths, like really often, like all the time, because that's what it kind of takes.
About 2 months before he started scheming again. He just couldn't help himself. Turns out that Dr.
There's a
Love
whole
had been
part of human
redirecting
experience
funds
that is
from the
alien to
company
them.
bank account
Yeah,
into his own
that makes
personal
sense,
bank account. And it wasn't a small amount either. It was about $10,000 total. On January 3rd, 2023, Malachi Love Robinson was again sentenced to prison for grand theft and fraud. And he's
God.
currently serving a 28-month sentence in prison. You know, if there's one thing you should take away from this story, it's that you should never, ever trust doctors. Except for me.
Based. Honestly, based. I mean, like, I don't trust doctors. No, I actually know a doctor. He seems like a cool guy. We hang out sometimes. But most doctors I don't fucking trust. You know? Like, that guy, just because I talk to him, and he, like, gets down with, like, the conspiracies and shit like that. But, like, most doctors I don't fucking trust.
Me, because I am now officially a naturopathic doctor with a totally legit PhD, and you will address me as such.
Okay. Let's do this one.
Conferences, and even filed lawsuits against state officials for abuse and conspiracy.
Alaverdian is suing this long list of former and current state officials.
This is people who tried to fake their own death, which seems
and the
fun.
DCYF.
Do you guys think I could fake my own death? Honey, I don't think she'd appreciate me faking my own death.
For how he was treated while in state care.
Nah, I
He
think she
alleges he was
might be mad
physically
about
and
that.
sexually assaulted while he was moved in and out of some 20 group homes in 3 states.
Take your worst nightmare, multiply it by 5,000.
For a while, it was looking like Nikki
Hey, I know that guy. He's like some sort of maitre d', I think.
might have a promising political career in the future, but then he went and fucked it all up. In 2008, Nick enrolled in college in Ohio, and bro couldn't even finish a semester without sexually assaulting someone. Not to get too graphic, but Nick was accused by a female student of groping and exposing himself to her. And that's putting it lightly. The woman decided to press charges, and Nick, being the
Rocky said I always wanted to attend my funeral. I don't know if I'd want to do that. Just watching a bunch of people spit on my casket. There would be people that aren't invited. Royce would not be invited. No one from the Daywave crew would be invited. I don't even know if they'd be informed of my death. No, I don't think. I think I would just stop coming. I would just stop showing up to Daywave, and they're like, we don't know. We don't know what happened to him. We don't know what happened to John. And like 6 months later, they come to find out I actually died, and they'd be like, oh damn. But I've been alive the whole time. The whole time. Living another life as some sort of other podcaster. In disguise. I have Frozen's wig on, right? And I have those little round glasses and buck teeth. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Because for some reason, I'm going to go in Asian. I'm going with Asian, right? But bad Asian. So it'll be funny. It'll be funny. And I'll just fake my death for like, I don't know, 10 years. And I'll come back and be like, haha, I've been alive the whole time. And by then, they've probably forgotten who I am. Joke's on me, I guess.
Ridiculous man that he is, showed up to court with a cane.
He's
and
finally
a fake
muted
limp.
permanently. He's finally. God damn you, Ardenshire.
And claimed that the accusations were made to cover up the woman cheating on her boyfriend. And to his credit, he had some pretty solid evidence to back up this claim. The woman had made a post.
Well, I hope your dad is doing good, Dan. I hope you you stop blocking his intestines.
On MySpace around the time of the alleged sexual assault. I can't forgive you for what you've done.
Gross.
I loved you so much, and you'll never have any idea. But I went to...
Dan Snot said, I'd crash it and pee on it. Yeah, Dan Snot would show up to my funeral with his black hooker and piss on my coffin. Sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Far by lying and getting some stranger
She's clearly a prostitute. She is dressed. It's a funeral. Everyone's like sobbing and being all like, "Oh, he was such a person." Then Dan Snot just kicks down the door with his fucking hoochie mama and starts pissing into the coffin. Into the coffin from distance downtown. It's pretty impressive, right? The whole scene I have in my head is pretty. You have a big hat and a coat and shit like that. You look cool.
Go to jail, so you wouldn't think I would cheat on you, even when I did slip because he was cute. If it wasn't already obvious that this was complete horseshit, the court...
Rocky says, I heard about a badass dude who did that and beat his wife with his cane because she wasn't sad enough. That is pretty badass. That is, I mean, you're keeping your pimp hand strong, right? You fake your death, and then you beat your wife because she's not sad enough because you be at your funeral. That is fucking Chad behavior. That is some Chad behavior. That's Chad moves. All day, all day long, right? That is the quintessential. I can't even describe it any more than absolute Chaddom. You fake your death and then pay for your own funeral, right? Because it is coming out of your bank account. And then your wife shows up and then she's just like a little bit not sad enough. And then you rise from the dead, grab your cane, and then start wailing on her in front of witnesses? My God. That's pretty cool.
Called in a forensics expert who confirmed
That's a total
that
G.
it was
That's a
complete
total
horseshit.
G.
He said there was 90% certainty that the blog post had
No,
been
you can hear me.
completely
Shut up,
fabricated.
Brandon. Shut up.
Unsurprisingly, Nick was found guilty
Shut the fuck
and was
up.
required to register as a sex offender, which pretty much...
If there's deviled eggs at your wake, I'll be there. They're going to be in the coffin with me. So if you want a deviled egg, you're going to have to grab it off of my corpse. Like, you know how those like the sushi girls that lie naked and you grab sushi? It'll be me, but you grab deviled eggs off of my bare chest. Yeah. Like, I know this is a funeral, but why is he shirtless? I don't know. He said something about his nipples. So fucking stupid.
destroyed his chances of having a political
He
career.
was just all like, I need them to see my nipples. I'm on my scrawling on my deathbed. Jesus Christ.
Following his court loss, Nick wrote an essay titled "My Personal 9/11."
Chips and dip will be on my crotch, right? Like the chips will be like between my legs, but the dip will be covering my junk, right? And if you dip a little bit too deep, you're gonna poke the ball sack, right? And then I'll wake up, I'll be like, ah, because I can't I can't act that way. You poke my ball sack with a chip, trying to get that dip, and I'm going to react. So that'll be the time when I get up and I beat my wife with a cane. Because I had some of those deviled eggs. And they were good, but not good enough.
Where he compared his legal troubles to 9/11.
Of course it's going to be guacamole. Of course it is. Because I'm not a savage. It's going to be delicious.
Which was a national tragedy, by the way. By the time this was written, Nick had sexually assaulted.
Big B says, that's fine. I've handled a lot of dead bodies. It's good to learn about my cult. I enjoy learning about you guys.
At least 4 other women across the United States.
You know, Mersh, he doesn't like learning about anything about his fans. He doesn't. He doesn't want to know anything about any of you. But now I know if I have to get rid of a body, I got to call up Big B. That is a good thing to know.
States. And if that wasn't bad enough, he was also a con man. Nick had scammed people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars and was being investigated by the FBI for identity theft and fraud.
Did he lose weight? Good for him.
Investigations have also been carried out into various counts of fraud. This man began working for a Canadian woman who's expanding her business across the pond.
I lost a lot of money, not just the 40 grand, but, hundreds of thousands because I had to do damage control.
Somehow, he was able to avoid going to jail, but it seemed like the walls were closing in on him. On top of the fraud case, he was also wanted for a rape that was committed in Utah all the way back in 2011. So basically, bro was cooked. But then things got even worse for him when he died. On February 29th, 2020, Aliverdian's obituary was posted online. And I'm just going to read an excerpt from it because it's so ridiculous. Mr. Aliverdian died 2 months after going public with his diagnosis of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. At the bedside were Mrs. Aliverdian.
He was in his 32nd year. Okay, I know how people run up a lot of debt, but if you're in hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and I guess that's not that unusual because people go to college and I knew a cat that was $250,000 in debt, and he was he maybe just turned 30 or something like that. And I was like, you don't make any money though. You're fucked. He was a comedian and he was bad at it. And I don't know what he did on his side job, but it wasn't lucrative. He was fucked for the rest of his life. And I thought that was funny. He was gay too. So maybe he'll get lucky and die from AIDS.
Their 2 children and extended family. His last...
Oh, but right. You can stay alive with AIDS these days. Damn.
Words were, fear not and run towards the bliss of the sun.
I used to do it for a job. You used to touch dead people for a job. What, with a stick, or did you touch them with your hands and stuff and be like, yeah, he's cold. What did you do, Big B? Tell us what you did.
What an asshole. It went on to say that he was cremated and his ashes were spread at sea. And a few years would pass with no trace of Nick, and it was looking like the guy might have actually died. Okay, so let's jump ahead to 2022, Glasgow, Scotland. A bloke by the name of Arthur Knight caught a really bad case of this fake disease that was going around back then, and he ended up going into a coma. Now, in a stroke of dumb luck, Arthur's nurse happened to see an Interpol red notice for one Nicholas Rossi, and she noticed that he had the exact same tattoos as her patient.
And then there are the tattoos, which nurses at a Scotland hospital reportedly used to identify Knight as Alaverdian, who was previously photographed with body art.
Change your fucking tattoo. If you're gonna fake your death, change your tattoos. Have them done over, right? Black them out or something like that, or just change it. That's not hard. That's not hard. Change your fucking tattoos. How difficult is that? That is not hard. That's not hard at all. I have a couple of tattoos, right? I have one right here. It's a heart, but like if I fake my death, swastika, right there.
On both arms.
What are the odds of that? So two police officers showed up and arrested him on suspicion that he was Nicholas Rossi.
And I'll be like, I'm a Buddhist. What? You want me to grab that thing off the shelf for you?
And their suspicions were correct.
I wonder if that's going to get me in trouble. Maybe. Probably. I don't care.
In his defense, Knight said, quote, "Throughout the 18 days I was comatose, I did not have free will over my body. I have never had tattoos prior to being in the hospital." So this schmuck claimed that somebody came into the hospital while he was in a coma and spent hours tattooing his arms to make him look like a fugitive rapist from the United States for no reason. Arthur Knight was so adamant that he was innocent that he decided to do an interview with Dateline NBC to clear his name.
What do you say to someone who believes that you are Nicholas Alaverdian?
I am not Andrea. I am not Nicholas Alaverdian, and I do not know how to make this clearer. I can't walk. People say that's an act. Let me try.
That's a fake accent. That is a fake English accent. That is a super fake English. That, like, come on. That's bad, dude.
To stand up. Let me try to stand up. Exactly.
Bro, this guy is so silly. I keep forgetting he's a psychopathic sex predator.
That's so funny,
was
dude.
Extradited to the United States to stand
That's
trial for
so
his
funny.
crimes, but he continued to deny that he was Nicholas Alaverdian.
It does look like a Sam Hyde bit. It does. It looks just like a Sam Hyde
Until
bit.
2024, when he completely dropped the accent and claimed that he went on the run because he was getting death threats from officials in Rhode Island due to his activism. He claimed that all these accusations against him were some kind of grand conspiracy because he spoke out against the Rhode Island foster care system.
For years, he's claimed he's an Irish orphan.
You see the yarmulke? You see the yarmulke? He's like, I know what'll get me out of this. You almost, it was this close. People are going to be, oh, he's Jewish. He can't. Get out of here, you knucklehead. No, sir. That's not how it works. That's not at all how it works.
Framed by authorities named Arthur Knight. However, today, under oath...
Although there was this Jewish cat that did fake his own death. That was... There's something about an airplane, an island full of underaged people. I think it's probably not right. Nonsense. I'm sorry.
Rossi admitted to using a number
I'm
of
sorry.
aliases,
No, that never happened. No, it has never happened.
including Arthur Knight, but claimed the reason behind the name changes was because there was a number of threats made against him. These threats, Rossi say, stem from his previous work in child services. However,
that judge's name was Darren Pullen. And I just imagine his parking spot is just like Pullen D, which is kind of gay, but like, I'm sure he hears it all the time, but it's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. Come on, right? I understand it's like childish and stuff like that. Pullen D. It's kind of funny.
when asked who made the threats, he refused to answer, claiming the assailants could still go after him.
Amazing stuff, man. Absolutely incredible.
You know, researching this topic has been kind of a pain in the ass, because a lot of articles will omit details and other ones are overly biased. And that's why I think ground news is so important. And oh, would you look at that? They just happen to be the...
This goes without saying. But if you're gonna get away with faking your own death, you need to stay out of trouble. On October 6, 1988, the Columbian Hotel in Wenatchee, Washington burned to the ground. It didn't take long for the fire department to figure out that the fire was no accident. The prime suspect was the building's owner, Ricky Wetta. Now, the case against him was pretty strong, but Wetta only made things worse for himself when he shot his best friend in the head. On September 5th, 1989, Wetta invited his friend Emmett Thompson to go shooting. But Thompson had no idea that the target was him. The two of them were walking back to Ricky's car when all of a sudden, Thompson heard 3 pops and realized that he had been shot in the head, and he somehow survived. How the heck do you survive getting shot in the head 3 times, bro? This guy think he's Vince Foster or something? Now, Thompson...
No, how do you get shot in the head 3 times and survive? Like, where in the head? Like, in the face? In the jaw? Like, where in the head can you shoot somebody where it's like, I'm still alive? Look, there is an upside down light bulb, or it's like a light bulb shape, right? In the back of your head. And you have to hit it. It's like where your brain and your spinal column connect, right? If you don't hit that, you're not going to die. Well, you might die. If you get shot in the temple, it depends. But if you hit that, you're gone. It's over, right? That's why people put it in their mouth. Not up. Back. Back. I have one, but I'm not going to put a gun in my mouth. you know. So like that. So you blow the back of your head off. And YouTube, do not get me at medical misinformation for that, because that is true. That is true.
Surviving was the worst thing that could have happened to Ricky Wetta, because he went to the police and spilled everything. Thompson told them that it was him who lit the fire, and Ricky had taken out a $3 million insurance policy on the hotel and promised to split the profits with him if Thompson burned the place down. But the story gets so much more insane, because you see, after getting booked in prison, police figured out that this man wasn't Ricky Wetta at all. His real name was Jerry Balasok, and he was supposed to have died a decade prior. So let's
Is there a theme going on
back
here?
up a little bit. Jerry Balasok was a professional wrestler who went by the stage name Mr. X. Unfortunately for Jerry, his wrestling career would be short-lived due to blowing his kneecap out. So in 1974, he used some of the money he saved up to open up a motorcycle shop in Alabama. But this career also wouldn't last long, because he would soon be indicted on 13 counts of check forgery in connection with his business.
Okay.
Now, the punishment for this crime is...
Background says, I've seen stories of bullets going through an eye into the brain and still living. I mean, I've seen stories of people like getting like shot in the head and then being okay, or even being like geniuses of some sort after that. But like 3 times you catch 3 bullets to the head and none of them do the job? That's crazy.
Not that bad in the grand scheme of things. My uncle Ruben got caught forging checks a bunch of times, and he only went to prison for like 2 months, 3 maybe. Despite that, Balasok took his family and went on the run. First to Miami, then the Bahamas, before finally settling down in Washington State. The FBI was on his ass the whole time, but somehow he managed to evade them. By the time they got to Washington, Balasok had stolen the identity of some poor schmuck named Ricky Wetta, and he used it to somehow get a job at Boeing. But after a few weeks, his boss figured out that he lied on his resume. The schmuck apparently said he went to Cambridge University in England. Bro, if you're gonna lie on your resume, at least make it somewhat believable, okay? What's wrong with DeVry? So this man's life was completely in shambles. Not having a job was bad enough, but he knew that
Old ammo is not going to save your life like that. No. Old ammo, it's a bullet, man. It's still going fast. It's going to hit your... If it comes out of that barrel, it's going to be going fast.
Only a matter of time before the FBI found him. But then, in the most psychotic twist of fate, this happened.
The nightmare at Jonestown left more than 900 members of the People's Temple dead. Americans who had followed the Reverend Jim Jones into the Guyanese jungle in search of a better life.
The Jonestown Massacre was one of the worst tragedies in American history. But for Jerry Balasag, it was the best thing that could have happened to him. You see, for some reason, his mother was convinced that Jerry and his wife and stepson were among the dead. She even identified them in a photo. She was quoted as saying, "There is no doubt in my mind about that figure being the body of my son." Now, at first the FBI wasn't convinced. They just thought she was an insane old woman. But after Balasag didn't turn up for the next few years, they started thinking, damn, maybe she was right. So Jerry Balasag was declared dead and all his forgery charges were dropped. Jerry was pretty much in the clear. The feds thought he was dead and everyone else thought he was Ricky Weta. But then the guy had to go.
Have I done a show about Jonestown? Have I? No. No, I don't think I have. I don't know what I would say about Jonestown. Be like, this is how we're going to do it? This is only we're going to be naked before we get in the pile? There's a lot of problems with Jonestown. There is a lot of conspiracy bullshit about Jonestown going on. Like, I don't know. It could be in like an MK Ultra CIA front kind of a thing, just to see if they could get so many people to off themselves in a certain way. It's kind of suspicious that everyone gets in a big pile when they die. Usually if you die, you don't want to like just fall on top of each other, right? But no, I don't think I've done an episode on Jonestown. I'd have to find something.
Go and be stupid. After a decade of living life under the radar, I guess.
You mostly gunned down at Jonestown. Some of them were gunned down, yeah. Machine gun down. Yeah, so if you ran a cult and stuff and you were good at it, you would need to machine gun people down like that. There's a lot of problems with Jonestown. And like, yeah, we could dive into it. I would have to find something. I would have to come across something, or you guys would have to send me something specifically that I could actually work with on Jonestown. And I would have to make jokes about it, which would be a little morbid because a lot of kids died at Jonestown. But I could do it.
Yes, our boy Jerry started
I could do it.
Getting a little restless and he needed a big cash injection quick. So in June of 1988, he bought the Colombian Hotel, which was an abandoned failed business that only cost him a few grand. Over the next few months, he would take out a multi-million-dollar insurance policy on the building and convinced his friend to burn it down, and well, you know the rest. So yeah, don't commit crimes if you fake your own death. In fact, you gotta lie low. You gotta stay under the radar as much as humanly possible. Which brings me to rule number 4. Keep a low profile. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're gonna fake your own death, try not to write a New York Times best-selling book when you're supposed to be dead. Because this guy, Philip Cesarego, fumbled the perfect fake death because he was too hungry for attention. Since he was a kid, Philip's dream was to join the British SAS. But when he was finally old enough to join, he was rejected multiple times. Instead, he joined the British Royal Artillery, but that only lasted about 2 years. Afterwards, he became a mercenary and got involved in a bunch of sketchy military operations. Like in 1988, he participated in a coup attempt in the Maldives. Then in the early 90s, he somehow ended up in the Balkans, where he recruited other mercenaries to join some super secret spec ops mission in Croatia that was supposed to have a huge payout.
Okay,
the
cool.
only problem is, once they got there, they were just sitting around on their asses waiting for orders. After about 6 weeks, they finally realized why. The British media reported that Phil had gone missing somewhere in Bosnia and was presumed dead. Now, it's unknown if Phil planned all of this or it just kind of happened. Either way, he took advantage of the situation and took on a whole new identity. Tom
Okay,
Carew.
perfect.
Now, as Tom, he wrote a whole-ass book called Jihad! The Secret War in Afghanistan. In it, he claimed to be a member of the SAS who helped the Afghani Mujahideen fight off the Soviets in the late 70s. It was basically a pathetic way to LARP as the person he always imagined himself as. Seems kind of gay, I don't know. The book was released in 2001,
And he made a lot of money.
Tom received a £100,000 advance for it. But it wasn't very successful, at least not at first. But that would all change on September 11th of that year. Now, I don't know if you guys are students of history or not, but on that date,
lucky son of a
national
bitch,
tragedy occurred in the United States.
What happened? What happened? Well, what? I forgot. I don't
The
know.
mastermind of the
He did that on purpose. Hold on. Hold on. He did that shit on purpose. Hold on.
national tragedy occurred in the United States. The mastermind
That was not an accident.
of the 9/11
That was
Osama bin
not
Laden
an accident.
was part of the Mujahideen, so this created a newfound interest in the topic, and Phil's book was suddenly flying off the shelves like baby oil on the night of a Diddy party. It sold 50,000 copies within a month, and Tom Carew started doing interviews everywhere as a so-called expert on the Mujahideen.
Sort out the opium on the side, which is taking care of all the black money, which rolls over and funds a lot of these terrorist organizations and also the Taliban.
The fakery didn't go on for too long. In November of that year, he was invited on BBC to do an interview. But what he didn't know is that it was actually an expose where the reporter
They cannot get
testimonies from
offended.
actual
No,
SAS
that's
members
true.
to call him out. The report proved
There
that
was a dust storm and some people from a certain group were dancing. Yeah, no. Nope, doesn't ring a bell. A certain group of people were dancing. 5 people dancing? I don't know what. Some sort of attack? Or was it a planned demolition of some sorts where some guy from some sort of large insurance policy? You know, I can't put my finger on it. Exactly what happened. Nope.
without a doubt that Tom was
Nope.
the once thought dead Philip Cesarego. Phil was cooked after this. He changed his name to Philip Stevenson and disappeared again. 8 years later, his body was found by his landlord in a garage. Cesarego had been dead for several days by that point due to carbon monoxide poisoning, and investigators were unsure if it was accidental or on purpose. Damn, that was pretty dark.
What if he's not dead? What if he faked his death again? You ever think of this? Is about people who fake their death. So maybe he faked his death again. You ever think about that? Because that could definitely be the case. I would look very hard at that body.
Let's move on to a more whimsical person.
Ferdinand Demara, who is better known as the Great Imposter. During his career, he has actually impersonated 30 different people.
Ferdinand Waldo Demara. If there was ever a man on this planet who couldn't keep a low profile, it was this guy. I mean, come on. He looks like Peter Griffin from The Family Guy. He sticks out like a sore thumb. Born in 1921, Ferdinand Waldo Demara grew up in a very religious Catholic household in Rhode Island. Wait, is this guy actually Peter Griffin? Is Peter Griffin like based off this guy or something? Unlike Peter Griffin, Ferdinand decided to dedicate his life to God and became a monk at 16 years old. Kind of like that episode of No, I'm not doing this. After a few years at the monastery, he started to have some disagreements with the clergy. So Demara decided that he wasn't cut out to be a monk. So he stole a car and drove down to Boston to enlist in the military. Keep in mind, this was in December 19...
Sometimes monks and like Sam Kinison. You know the comedian Sam Kinison, who was like screamed a lot. He was going to be a priest, right? But he was like, you know what? I'm not going to be a priest. I'm actually going to start screaming comical jokes at people. And he became like a legend. Sometimes priests are crazy, right? I'm not saying... sometimes they're pretty damn smart, too. I'm just saying. Sometimes priests end up, like, weird. They're weird people. Sometimes.
1941, so Pearl Harbor had just happened. Military life didn't really suit Ferdinand either. He realized what a huge mistake he made leaving the monastery. So what did our boy Waldo do? He stole the identity of one of his army buddies and went AWOL.
Okay.
And then he made his way to Kentucky and joined another monastery. This time around, he actually enjoyed it. But unfortunately, his second stint as a monk wouldn't last long either, because he was forced to leave after someone recognized him by his real identity. So Ferdinand went back home to lay low for a little bit.
That'd be like somebody recognizing me and being like, "Oh, is it John?" And I'd be like, "Yeah," or "No." I don't know what I would do if somebody recognized me and be like, "Oh, yeah, from the internet." I'd be like, That's very interesting.
And his father tried to convince him to turn himself into military.
I'd be surprised. I would be surprised.
After careful consideration,
I might be happy.
Waldo said,
I'd
"Fuck
probably
that," and join the Navy.
I might be happy. Yeah. If somebody, I'd be surprised. I would be surprised. But it'd be cool. It would be cool. If you guys watch me and you see me somewhere, go ahead, approach me. Say hi. I kind of doubt it's gonna. There's only 30 people here, 29, but I don't know. Who's watching? There's 47 people total. So I mean, so it's not one of my biggest nights tonight. I've had bigger nights. That's all I'm saying.
Bro, how is this possible? No.
Sometimes it'd be like that, right? Daywave was a little slow. Did some other stuff. It happens like that.
This shouldn't surprise you by this point, but
Big B says, "I'll run into you and say hi. I'm Frozen Asian." No. If you're Asian, then maybe I'll believe that. But otherwise, I kind of doubt it.
he didn't last too long in the Navy either. Demara was getting frustrated because he wasn't getting any.
Okay, Frozen Asian, what's your real name? If you are Frozen Asian, then you will know your real name. What is your real name? I know Frozen Asian's real name. What is it?
Promotions, so he wrote a suicide note and went AWOL a second time.
Just your first name.
This time, he created a brand new persona for himself, Dr. Robert Lipton French, a psychologist. Dr. French bounced around the country, never staying in one place for too long. Eventually, he ended up at St. Martin's Abbey in Washington.
Big B says Frozen Asian. Yes, that is correct. His name is actually Frozen Asian. That's his full. It's not holy fuck, because I would die.
Established his own student psychological center. Now, keep in mind, this mother sucker never studied psychology. Despite that, he was apparently a really good teacher. I mean,
his real name is Chris Nguyen, and that's at least pretty. I mean, yeah, yep, that's him. It's Chris Nguyen.
This man was just that good at bullshitting. Now, everything was going great at St. Martin's, but the gravy train would come.
Are you impressed I pronounced that properly? Because I am. Yes, I pronounced. There's a G. Most people would be like, Nguyen? No, it's Nguyen.
To an end when Ferdinand's past caught up with him. It turns out that while he was running his clinic, the FBI was playing a little game of Where's Waldo? And eventually, they found him. The feds figured out his true identity and put him on trial for desertion during wartime, which at the time could get you the death penalty. But Ferdinand,
Dan says it wrong on purpose.
Bullshitter he was,
well, that's
managed to get off
pretty
with
mean.
an 18-month sentence. Bro, I gotta say, I am extremely jealous. I'm the complete opposite of this dude. I could talk my way into the death penalty for fucking shoplifting. After his release...
Okay, so all right. Let's do a quick hypothetical. Let's say, I know it wasn't Vietnam, but let's say you're going to Vietnam where you're probably almost certainly going to die, right? You're not a fortunate son. You're going to the front lines. They're all like, you want to go to war or do you want to go to prison for 18 months? I'll be like, yeah, go ahead. Send me to prison. Send me to fucking prison. I'll go to prison. You are not sending me to war. I'm not going to war. All right? Because even if I come back alive, you ain't the same. No, you got your legs blown off, and then you're drinking Ripple on the side of the street, singing New Year's Eve, and then yeah, I'm doing the backstory to Lieutenant Dan, but my point stands. Unlike Lieutenant Dan, you don't come back the same, man. You're different. Killing people and killing a lot of people, it kind of changes you as a person. So you shouldn't do that. You should try not to do that. Try not to kill people. If somebody's trying to kill you, yeah, you got to kill them, right? Understandable. But you shouldn't go fly halfway around the world to go and kill people. You know, that's not necessary. It's not necessary for anybody.
Ferdinand went right back to his old shenanigans, and he joined another Catholic monastery. While there, he met a real doctor named Dr. Joseph Sear. Sear helped treat some of the brothers at the order, and this had a profound impact on Ferdinand. So much so that he decided to steal Dr. Sear's identity and use it to become a surgeon on a Canadian military vessel.
A surgeon?
During the Korean War, Ferdinand's vessel was stationed right off the coast. One day, 16 wounded soldiers were brought to the infirmary and needed immediate surgery. Now, keep in mind, Ferdinand had never performed surgery in his life. The only thing he knew was from random medical books he had read. Despite that, he was able to save the lives of all 16 men that he operated on.
Damn!
Bro, this could literally be a Family Guy sketch. Hey, Lois, remember when I pretended to be a surgeon during the Korean War? Now, guys, I am well aware that all this stuff sounds completely ridiculous and made up, but it made headline news at the time. Apart from dealing with the regular routine of trivial ailments, he was also called upon to undertake much more serious tasks. He performed many operations, including removing a bullet dangerously near the heart, a number of amputations, collapsing a lung, and treating severe head injuries.
Well, here's the thing. If you're a war surgeon and you lose a patient, his injuries were too bad, right? I feel like there's a lot of room for, it's okay if you mess up, right? They're going, no one's going to be like, oh, how could you make that mistake? I'm at war. I am a surgeon at war. There's a lot going on. I feel like you could really fake your way through that. And you're just cutting bullets out of people. That doesn't seem too tough. Don't nick an artery. All right? You see an artery? Try not to cut it. You kind of have to know where they are a little bit, but it's luck. It's partially luck, but so is being a real surgeon. Okay? Again, this is the 50s during wartime. It doesn't seem like it'd be that tough. I think I could pull it off. I think I think I can pull off a lot of things, which there's no way I can pull off everything I think I can pull off. I think I can land a passenger airline. I think I could be a pretty decent astronaut. I'm pretty sure I could do surgery. I can do a lot of things. I think.
How did you set yourself up as a surgeon on a war?
Actually, I acquired these credentials.
I'm 90% certain I could do so many things. I could do a lot of. I could do a lot of things, right? I would be really good at some things. And if you guys don't believe me, you're just wrong. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. Hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. I hope you guys have a good night. Stay strong. Stay valiant. Be good cult members. And, thanks for coming by and hanging out. Be back with me tomorrow night, and we will do some more of the Sulk stream, and we'll see where it goes. I think we might be doing the Epstein files tomorrow night, so that'll be a fun one. And it might be a little heavy, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Until then, be good. Be cool to each other. Be strong. Lead the way. Be the light in your life. Make your dreams come true. Drink a lot of water. Get a good night's sleep and take care of yourselves because I care about you too. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you. Good night.
The brass calls out with a sultry flare. I'm an incredible soul. Unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster too. Government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole.
unraveling the madness with every word I spoke.